Yo, what's up guys, I'm back, got a review for you. This time we have this 89 mid Nedved. Now I know the baby one is out in SBC right now, and a lot of people probably want to see that review instead, but I just prefer the card stats on this one, so we'll go through then. So he's 5'10", got the high medium work, he's right foot with the 4-star skills, 5-star weak foot. So in the 11 match I played with him in champs and rivals, obviously I played a few friendlies on the side, I got the 7 goals and 5 assists. Now on alternate positions this year, he can play the left mid and also left wing, so no striker or centre forward or cam or anything like that, which is a little bit unfortunate because I kind of wanted to play him centrally, but that doesn't matter too badly. So on stats, he's got the 88 pace, the 86 shooting, the 88 passing, the 88 dribbling, and the 80 physical. So on paper, looks like quite a good card overall. Unfortunately, doesn't have any player traits necessarily. I decided to go with the engine chem style and play him in a cam or strike position. I played varied depending on what formation I was playing at the time, but mainly a striker alongside that Van Persie card. If you do enjoy the review or want to see more, please do subscribe. It genuinely does help the channel a lot. But I've got nothing more to say. Enjoy the clips and see you after. Peace. So, what's my thoughts about the card then? Now, first for me is the 4-star skills, 5-star weak foot. And the 4-star skills for me are quite good, to be fair. Obviously, it's a minimum you really want on a card this year. Honestly, like, you do need the 4-star skills to be a very desirable meta card. Obviously, you want the 5-star necessarily, but the 4-star skills is a minimum necessity. And the 5-star weak foot for me, it was a little bit inconsistent, and I was a little bit mad to say, and I'll explain more why in a bit. But overall, the 5-star weak foot generally doesn't really feel like a 5-star weak foot overall. I normally hype up weak foots and stuff like that, or maybe say it's like around the same. Generally, this weak foot, it was a little bit inconsistent at times. So first me is the pace. Now the pace for me generally Doesn't really feel too fast in the game. Obviously doesn't feel slow. He's not going to be as fast as Van Persie. Honestly, Van Persie felt fast in this card. Maybe because he's got the higher acceleration and the lower sprint speed. But overall, I just didn't feel like his card was that fast. Obviously, when he got through and goal with the engine chem style, I do feel like he could actually outpace some players. But I do actually feel like I made a mistake with the chem style. And this is one of the first and only times I'll actually make a mistake. I do recommend you go the Hunt chem style instead of this. Obviously, there's a few lackluster stats in the dribbling attributes. This is why I feel like he should have gone with the engine. But overall, there's a more pressing matter I'll talk about in a sec. So the shooting for me, the shooting was so inconsistent on this card. Honestly, one of the most inconsistent cards I've used for shooting, like, probably ever. Honestly, the finishing just felt really lackluster. Maybe it was me at the time, but I was shooting the same shots with Van Persie and they were just flying in. So I don't know what it was with this card. I generally just couldn't get to grips with it. Even after like about 20 games, I just still couldn't. So this is why I recommend you go with the Hunter Cam style. I'm probably playing Cam as well, because I feel like he's more of a Cam kind of card than a strike kind of card this year. I just feel like that passing needs to be used to a full potential rather than the shooting used to its full potential. That makes sense. So next up is the passing. So as I talked about, the passing is very good. Especially the engine chem style, very good passing. He'll be one of the players that you can get wide, get central, he can do the really nice passes, get inside the box, and obviously sweat it across someone else. Very nice passing. It's one of his better attributes in my opinion. Now, the dribbling for me, this is why I put the chem style on him, because he's not the smallest of players. He feels less agile than Van Persie. I don't know what it is. It's because he's got 84 agility base with the 82 balance and stuff like that. Even though he's got the 90 dribbling stat base, it just doesn't feel that agile, to be honest. Obviously, with those moments of really nice agility, maybe because of the engine chem style, but overall, he just doesn't really feel that agile, nimble card. Maybe because of reactions as well, because obviously reactions, dribbling, and stuff like that. But overall, I just didn't really feel it. The composure for me, actually quite good in game. This was maybe where his finishing was decent at times, maybe not a little bit inconsistent, but overall, the composure was only redeeming factor in the dribbling attributes, in my opinion. So as I talked about, the stamina is very good on this card. You can play it any way you want, especially with these attributes overall. The stamina just allows you to just play him wide, central, striker, whatever you really want with it, and that's a really nice attribute about him. But the head next to jumping kind of useless, along with his strength and aggression, especially with the low balance. He's not really going to be able to out-strength anyone. Maybe a few fullbacks here and there, the weaker ones, but overall, he is going to get pushed off quite easily. But as I said, I do actually recommend using the Hunt chem style instead. The agility is a little bit lackluster, but you are going to have to make up for that with the pace and the shooting. Just I feel like they needed more. So when using him, I just felt like that shooting was way too inconsistent for my liking. So on to my overall scores about the card then. Now one thing I will get out of the way straight away, if he's not that good on PS4 in my opinion, I genuinely don't see him being good on PS5 at all. He's not going to be lengthy because he's got too high agility. He's 5'10", so normally the responsive players are better on the PS4 because obviously the dribbling's better. But he's just not responsive. So if he's not responsive on PS4, I don't know what he's going to be on PS5. So honestly, if you're on PS5, I'd highly recommend you stay away from this card, in my opinion. I just don't really see him being any meta or very good for you guys. Maybe if you guys will prove me wrong, but overall, I just don't see it. So first for me is the pace. Now overall for the pace, I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. The pace isn't bad. The pace isn't really the issue, especially with the Hunt chem style. If you're going to use that on him, I do feel like it'll be a little bit better than the engine. The shooting for me, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I can't give it higher than that. The 5-star weave was not bad, don't get me wrong, and so is the shot power. But the rest of the attributes just felt really bad. Maybe like 80 finishing. Honestly, so inconsistent at times. And genuinely, I felt like that JJ Koch card had better finishing at times. That's 78 base. Now passing for me, I am going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Very good passing attributes. This is why I feel like you should play him Cam. Definitely a Cam card. Purely because he's passing attributes, very good overall. There's not really anything I can fault in this. Maybe a little bit higher curve, but overall just very good attributes. Now the dribbling with me, I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10. I just feel like he's a little bit clunky for his height. The agility and the balance are very low, along with the reactions. The only redeeming factors necessarily are the actual dribbling stat and the composure, but overall that isn't really enough to bring it down up to like an 8 or an 8.5. So next for me is the physicals. Now the one that matters is the stamina. And it is really high, to be honest. So overall for this, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. The stamina is a very nice factor about this card, and he will be able to run all game with the right instructions. But on overall score for this card, then I'm gonna give him a 7.5 out of 10. I just really didn't enjoy this card at all. I feel like it's one of the worst icons I've used, especially for the price. About 350k. Do I think it's worth it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 value for coins. Especially since he's only got the left wing and left mid and left wing position, that you can play him in. He's not really like versatile in that respect. Obviously you can bring him to cam in game and stuff like that. But overall he's not really versatile. He can only play 2 positions. He's not really the most agile of cards. He's not the best of finishers. Overall I just don't see him being better than like, let's say, a Vinny or something like that. for half the value, like, not even half the value, or maybe like an Inform Usman, which would be far better than this card for about 100k less, in my opinion. Or even if you wanted to use like an icon card, if you had to use an icon, I would honestly go with something like a Zola or something like that. Baby Zola's a lot better than this card. Even the finishing feels better than him, the dribbling feels better, the pace is better. Honestly, just try and save up for that Baby Zola or something like that instead. I just don't recommend you going anywhere near this card. Maybe the Hunter would be a little bit better, and some of you prove me wrong, but overall, I just don't see it at all. It's just a little bit of an inconsistent card. It did let me down at times considering how good he actually looks in game. But that's all for my view as always. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do subscribe. It genuinely does help the channel a lot. But I've got nothing more to say. See you in the next video, and peace out, guys.